So right now you have a top at around 25,300 on Bitcoin. And unless that gets taken out with a daily close, you have to respect that as a short-term top. Near term, I do expect Bitcoin to come back in, and even over the midterm, I still think there's trouble brewing in the crypto market. So I'm not a person that thinks the lows are in yet. I know that may sound crazy to a lot of investors in Bitcoin after this big run, but again, I would just draw my attention. If I zoom out on this chart, you know, this is a great bounce, nothing to take away from it. But in the scheme of the move and in the scheme of the bear market, we have to keep in mind that by no means are we back above major technical levels. Like 25,000 is a technical level. It's a mid-level one. But to be honest, I'll show you to where the big one is. The big one is at 30,000 right here. And the reason why psychologically this is a big level is because this was your mid-period of the 2021 bull market, right? This was the low pivot right here. So basically, I'm saying to myself is that if for me to be convinced that the lows are in on Bitcoin, we need to trade above, not just for a day, but I want to see it hold above for a little while above 30,000. And then I would say, okay, the lows are in. But until that, I think this could be a bear market rug pull rally, and I would be very careful.
Hey guys, welcome back to Library of Wealth. Today we have crypto analyst Gareth Soloway giving us his updated prediction for Bitcoin, as well as the current state of the crypto market and his economic outlook for 2023. Soloway remains cautious about the recent rally in Bitcoin. He suggests that it may not be significant in the context of the overall bear market. He argues that for the lows to be confirmed, Bitcoin needs to break above $30,000 and hold there for a while. Soloway notes that even though the chance the bottom is already in place, there's still a need for a retracement to test the lows. Soloway also monitors sentiment indicators on social media and says there's too much bullishness, which is not typical of a bear market. Let's get right to the interview with Gareth Soloway as he gives his prediction for Bitcoin and the crypto market and where we're headed in 2023. Before we dive in, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content we do here. Let's get right into the video.
Do you think there's any possibility that we've seen a bottom so far in Bitcoin?
Yeah, I do think there's that possibility, right? I mean, every good trader will always say, okay, this is my thesis, and there might be a 70 to 80% chance that that's correct. But remember, that leaves 20 to 30% that you could be wrong. So there's absolutely that thesis that means we could have a bottom in place. You know, for me, the charts, again, if you look back even at 2017, that, you know, there was this secondary dip that we saw back down to the 3,500 level before we really took off. So at least we went back to double bottom back in, I think it was 2009, early 2019 maybe, when we did that. But again, there's this need to go back and retrace at least to those lows and kind of retest it, right? And that's kind of, at least in the very least, what I think has to happen. But for me, it's like, you know, you look at the landscape in crypto, and I still can't get my head around how so many coins could still survive through this kind of flushing period, right? It just doesn't, you know, if this is the low, then all these coins are going to survive and everyone's going to become zillionaires again. And that's not the way these markets work. And we haven't really seen that in crypto yet. We've seen some bankruptcies, we've seen FTX, but it's not the flush out that notes, for me, bottoms. The other thing I would say too is, I don't know how much you guys pay attention to the sentiment indicator, but to me, I follow Twitter very closely. I follow social media closely for that analysis on what the human condition is telling us. What's the majority telling us? And I don't know if you've seen how much bullishness has been out there, but if you go back to lows in almost any market, in a bear market, when you get that first 30% bounce, most people are so fearful that they don't even believe it's going to go up. That's like, they're like, this can't be the bottom because I've been fooled too many times. Here, you see people like, oh, this is 100% the bottom, and that makes me nervous. I'm just like, something's wrong here. We had this scenario where coming into 2023, it was the first half is going to be horrendous, and then I heard about a recovery in the second half. Well, we've obviously seen the jobs numbers be amazing, and the economy is holding up in the first half, and we're already, you know, we're not at the end of the first quarter yet, but we're not too far away. So now you're seeing it shift, and I think so you're already proving some of those people wrong. And you're right, when the majority says something, it's usually not the case. So the question is, are they going to kind of just continue to shift down the pike, if you will, to kind of push that into the second half? And that's where I am. I'm in the second half camp, where I think the first half remains strong. I think the economy, again, remains strong. But I think the second half is where we start to see weakness. And then I also see that it's going to drag into 2024. So I think a lot of these economists that are saying this are just early to the punch. I think they're ultimately going to be right, but a lot of them will question themselves. Like listen, we all do, right? I've been in many trades where it goes against me. I'm like, wait a minute, was my thesis incorrect here? And that's just the nature of trading. One of the things that I'll point out too, which has me nervous about Bitcoin for 2024, is everyone is saying that it's going to start rallying into the halving, right? And that makes me very nervous that everyone is anticipating that, especially when you have totally different scenarios where you don't have the Fed printing money, you don't have interest rates near zero like they've been for the last so long, right? So there's like these things like you're mentioning about that, when everyone's saying something, that gets me a little bit nervous.
Soloway believes that the first half of 2023 will remain strong, but weakness will begin to appear in the second half and continue into 2024. He notes that many economists are predicting a recovery in the second half of 2023, which makes him nervous because there are different economic scenarios at play. The Fed money printing and interest rates being near zero for so long will have a major impact on the market.
When you mentioned that the lows aren't in yet, where are you thinking? Is 12K still sort of a target? Are you thinking below 10? What are you thinking in terms of your target for Bitcoin?
Yeah, so as of now, I do think we do take out the lows of, I think it was around 15,700, and we probably head down to 12 to 13. I still am in the camp that we have to have max pain in the crypto market. So you're probably talking about a Pierce of 10 to achieve that. That would be where most retail would probably really panic and consider dumping their bags, if you will. Like, I'm not really envisioning that there's going to be a ton more of these major fraud scenarios. The way we get to that lower target is probably with a macro recession, right? So if we think about it, we know that the Fed, and even yesterday we heard from Fed presidents that they were going to likely raise rates further. We saw the PPI numbers are still very hot. And so they're going to keep interest rates high for a long period, at least the entire year. It's very hard for me to imagine that Bitcoin and the stock market can withstand that. And more importantly, that the economy can withstand that. So at some point we slip into a recession. If that's the case, the S&P probably has another 25% down at least. And if the S&P drops 25%, the question you have to ask is, how does Bitcoin fare during that period, right? So for me, I got to imagine that Bitcoin would at least drop. I mean, just to get back to the lows, we drop about 8,000 to 9,000, right in that vicinity. And then the question is, do we go even lower with the S&P collapsing that much? And I think we do. I think that that's the next sell. So you had the first phase of this bear market, which was kind of the bankruptcies and everything like that. You'll see some of that continue if we go down to the levels that I say. But I think that the big driving force won't be unregulated crypto. I think the regulations are coming. It's going to be more the macro environment where people get very, very risk adverse. We take the high from 2017 and we draw a line through here, we connect these last two high pivots. That would be, so to me, that's a trend line that I would pay attention to. And if we did get up there, that would probably be a shortable trading opportunity. Now, the question is how, again, it's hard to see where that is. Right now, if we went straight up to that level, it's only around 75,000. And that would be the case if we went, a year out, it probably isn't above 100 yet. So if we go up, if we enter a new bull market, I think you're on the right track there, where I don't know what that number would coincide with that formula, but it would be interesting to see, and you might be able to run this, is does this trend line, let's say we hit that bull market in a year, does it coincide with that trend line sloping up on the charts? But I think that's fascinating.
Soloway discusses his target for Bitcoin, which he believes will likely fall to 12 to 13,000 and potentially as low as 10,000 due to a possible macro recession. He suggests that a trend line connecting the high pivots from 2017 and the current market could be a sortable trading opportunity if Bitcoin were to reach that level. He also thinks that a new bull market could lead Bitcoin to reach around 75,000, but it's unclear how that number would coincide with the aforementioned trend line. Soloway utilizes caution regarding Bitcoin's recent rally and suggests a potential short trading opportunity for Bitcoin based on the trend lines he's seeing now. What do you think about Gareth Soloway's recent market update and price prediction for Bitcoin? Comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Library of Wealth. We'll see you in the next video.